was a lawyer, and he said, I've taken the test, and that test is kind of on the order of passing the bar exam. Imagine anybody wanting to go take a test, it's going to be that difficult just to loan some money. Now, on the opposite side, me receiving it, if I take the money, and I've been advertising out there for private loans, I could get in really big trouble for not following security and exchange laws, and I better have all the legal stuff in place, because if I don't, then they're going to come and shut me down. Now, what Ralph said was, well, if you went out there and you started advertising, you hadn't even done one deal, and the FTC got a call, and Justin calls up and says, hey, you know, this Dan guy's trying to advertise about getting money, and I'm not quite sure if I trust him to deal him or not. And they find out that I'm doing this, and he shows them the ads. They come back knocking at my door. Even though I've never done a single deal, Ralph basically said, they're going to hound you, they're going to be on top of you, and by the time they get through dealing with you, you're going to be out of business and broke, even if you haven't done a deal. That's how bad it is. If you're doing these types of transactions with a friend, a relative, a close associate, and you're not advertising, you probably can still get away with it because it's not really illegal at that level. But you can't be out advertising. You can't be sending emails, you can't be making phone calls. I mean, this has to be really low-key and close friends and that kind of stuff. Okay?
When did this law pass?
It passed probably a couple of years ago, but it actually goes into effect as of July 31st last month. Okay? So right now, we've got a lot of people out there that probably don't even know it exists, heading down the road to do a lot of this private living and stuff. And, you know, yes?
Hey, Tim, what was it intended to do?
Well, you know, I don't know all about it. That's why I'm going to introduce somebody who's really going to be here to help us out. We've got Doug Michie here, and I met him at Alan Cowgill's event. I felt very blessed that, you know, not only did I find out he is a lawyer, but he says, yeah, I live down in the Oxnard, Ventura area. It's like, wow. Score, we finally got somebody for our club, you know. It might be on the order of, well, all the economic problems that we have out there in the world right now are because of these nasty investors that went out and created all these stupid loans and made all these problems. We're not going to talk about the stock market and all the trading that went on there. And we're not going to talk about all the money that was given to the banks. But we do know that there's a problem with all these loans, so we're going to crack down and we're going to make the laws so that these loans are handled in a certain way in the future. And people had better abide by them or go to jail. Okay? It feels like, well, you know, the rich are just going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer because unless you really gear up all this legal stuff, how are you going to even do it? I don't know. We'll see. So that was, you know, Alan Cowgill, I think, is an excellent teacher. And so I was very happy to be there and to get his information about private lending. We've got a lot of, you know, books, tapes, and CDs, and things that show you how to do it. But again, if we're going to be going out and doing it, we better be careful about how we're doing it and what we're doing it.
From what I heard, that also may apply to owners that carry back for you too.
Yep. As a matter of fact, carry back loans are part of this thing. That's going to be more and more difficult to carry back in owner finance.
Right.
And that's why last month when we had Jack Bosch here, and we've still got all that information up on YouTube. I videoed it, it's all up there. If you want to go back and see what he had to say, one of the nice things that he's saying about buying raw land, and he's getting to that raw land via tax liens and deeds, is that you can owner finance raw land, but those laws don't apply to raw land, only to structures. Okay, so you've got a loophole there that you can continue doing that and not be affected by that law, which is great. I mean, I'm feeling more and more like I want to get what Jack is saying, and that's no toilets, no termites, no tenants. You know, I'm not saying that I will never deal with them, but doing a tax lien and ending up with a property, I would probably do what Sean and Tony will talk about them. Just give it to a realtor, get it sold, take your profits, and go back into the tax liens. Now I know, Mark, there's a few of us in here, you and Matt are really serious about commercial properties, and you can get commercial properties through tax liens and tax deeds. That's another avenue. It's not the, as you know, it's not the only way, but that is another way to get to them. So there may be some interest for you guys that are doing commercial things of how you get into those deals. Okay? So in any case, YouTube, we've got all these videos up there. We'll have plenty more as time goes on. The private lending thing happened, in July at the end of the month. It was very, very good. I think we had about 100 people there and a lot of different speakers. He did have a gentleman there by the name of Scott Seal, I think his name is. You probably
Shield.
Shield?
Commercial?
Commercial, exactly.
Yeah. Scott Shield.
And he had some very interesting stories, very successful. Very happy to be alive because he was in a major car accident, and because he had already built up his commercial business for so long, even though he was out of business for about a year, laid up in bed in the hospital, he had enough money coming in to where he didn't go broke because he was already set up. But that's a whole other story. Out there on the road looking for these deals. Sean Higgins, and this is Sean Higgins, and Tony Martinez are having an event in Los Angeles at the end of September, the 25th and the 26th. So if you've already signed up, and now Matt, you signed up.
No, I've never.
Oh, you signed up for Jack Bosch, not for...
Yeah, I've never heard of Sean Higgins.
Okay, so Sean Higgins and Tony Martinez are tax lien, tax deed guys. They've been in business for about 15 years. They live in California. Guess how many tax liens and deeds they've been involved with in California? Zero. They live in California, and they said none of the deals have ever been good enough for them to ever do one in California. They do them all over the nation, and they're doing great. They've made millions of dollars. Tony Martinez has a great story about starting off working for Blockbusters when he was 25 years old, and his parents would take him and drop him off. He didn't even have a car. And eventually he got into tax liens and met up with Sean Higgins, and the rest is history. They've made a lot of money doing tax liens and deeds. Most of the money...
Mark, your order is ready, please.
Thank you. Most of the money that they've made has been in raw land that was a tax deed or a tax lien, but they do the tax liens as well. So with the houses and whatnot. But raw land is another way that they are doing things as opposed to Jack Bosch, who does raw land. He actually goes through and contacts the people who have the properties that are, that owe taxes on. They go at it from two different angles, but they're both basically doing the same thing. Okay. Sean Higgins is actually, I was on their webinar a while back and said hello as Dan, Santa Barbara, whatever. And he goes, "Oh, Dan Ringwald, Santa Barbara, that brings back memories." And I thought, how could that bring back memories? I don't even know the guy, And it turns out that he is a graduate from high school here at Santa Barbara. So I'm thinking, Sean, at some point you're going to be here, and give us a little something for being from Santa Barbara, right?
Right.
Who knows what kind of handout he'll give us. But in any case, he and Tony are going to have this seminar in Los Angeles at the Anaheim Convention. If you haven't signed up for their program, to go to this two-day event, it's going to cost $2,000 a piece for each individual that goes. If anybody has signed up, and you will get 2 tickets, you can invite somebody along. So, is there anybody in here that has signed up for Sean Higgins and the tax liens? I think Janet? No. You haven't yet. Okay, you're thinking about it.
I believe I actually have his course that I purchased a number of years ago.
Yeah.
I've got several of them. I can't remember.
You want to dig into that right now, and here's the reason. I paid for Alan Calgal's stuff years ago, and it wasn't until recently that I said, hey, The lending market is so difficult. I've got to get back into private lending. I've got to figure this thing out because